This is NVDA on the 5-minute time frame. Here are your price targets for Monday. We ended the day at $129.37, up 4.55%. To the north side from where we are takes us to one level of resistance and a potential take profit area at 130.07. Above that, at 2 standard deviations, takes us to 131.45. And at 4 standard deviations, should we be so lucky as to get to this level, that takes us to 132.83. This again is resistance, and you can anticipate if we do get here, people will take their profits and they will run, they will lock in, and they will leave. And if price gets to this level and works its way down, this line will turn into support as well as this line. Now heading south, VWAP is at 128.06 in the blue. The middle of the trend and the baseline takes us to 127.35. This gap forms to the downside at roughly 125.25, closes out at roughly 123.91, but negative 2 standard deviations, another level of support and a potential buy-in area, 124.59. Oops. And 123.25, and another level of support and another potential buy-in area, 121.86. Note the bounce here at support, running up to resistance, and then we sell off, bounce back up, head back down to support, and then now we're back up again. So again, if we hit this level, which is very easy in the realm of negative 2 and 2 standard deviations, so that I think can definitely hit that target, 130-ish. All right, I'm going to move this over to the daily time frame now and show you what's happening in the big picture. Option R. Now this looks like a hot mess because the chart gets wonky looking at it this way now. But let me move this. We are at 129.37 right here. Let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger. Okay, this is where we are. So to the north side, on the daily, takes us to 144.06. After that, actually that should be right there. Let me give you that number again. Roughly 143.51. I was giving it to you off of this. When you flip to the different time frames, this thing gets wonky. So I'll just go above the candle there. 155.22 and 166.60. Now on the 15th, when I looked at the price target, that was at 139.79 from where we were, a 13% return. And as of today, that target has changed to 141.75, which represents a 9.57%. And then after that, the big picture, $200. So $200, let me go back to this. 141 takes us to, all right, so that's saying it's going to take us out to 2 standard deviations from the daily time frame. And on the monthly, it's going to get even wonkier. I'm not going to bother. This looks like a real mess. Yeah, and it's past the 2, 3, and 4 standard deviations, so I'd have to change the calculations, and I will do that another time. But back to the daily and the gaps. So we've got this gap that I was talking about, and then another gap taking us down to 109.17, closing out at 104.78, and there was one at 111 too. But there's a gap here taking us down to 67.61. Not likely to happen, but just something to be aware of. Let me pull this back to the 5-minute. Option R to reset. So that's that gap. And then when traders Murat and Caden talked about this ticker, we were at 122.86, and Murat thought that a good re-entry price was in the 111s, and that would take us down to this gap in this range. And that obviously has not closed out, but let me extend that and this one. So these are still in play. And yeah, the one down there is way in the distance. Note the downward channel that we are in. It's not a deep dive down, but slowly turning down. And that makes sense because look at this run up here, this run up, and now we're going sideways. So we've got to take a breather, consolidate for another potential leg up down the future, and that's what the analysts are saying. But I would love to see it down here. We need to close out these targets, and so they will not haunt us in the future. We need to rip the Band-Aid off, and that might happen after earnings, which is happening on the 28th. And the estimate for the revenue is $28.723 billion. And you can bet that if we do well off of earnings, people will take their profits and they will run. Now, the next one I want to go over and recap is Snowflake. And let me reset that. First, I'm going to give you the price targets and then clean up the chart. So on Monday, 2 standard deviations, a very easy target at 120.16, 124.35, and 128.32 to the south side at support from where we are and a potential buy-in area, 111.94. Another potential buy-in area, 103.81 and 99.57, 95.40. VWAP, 115.18. Now, as far as this gap, this is no longer in play to the south side. We touched right here on Thursday. So that is no longer a threat to our account to the south side. That started on the 6th and closed out again on the 22nd. So delete. Okay, note the upward channel, and then of course we're at resistance, and you know exactly what happens at resistance. People take their profits and they run, they lock in, and they leave. So when Trader Murat was talking about this ticker, he said that there was let me make this bigger so you can read this. Okay, there was a gap at in the 116 range, and that was this gap. So it filled. So that is no longer a threat. So that's good. And as a matter of fact, we went down even more after earnings to 113.24. So that is nice. So that means hopefully there are better days ahead after this free fall down. But according to the analysts, the 1-year price target is 176, which represents a 52% return from where we are. We're talking the big picture here. And then after that, $300 and $400, and look at this, $500. So this looks like a bargain from where we are. And as a matter of fact, now the RSI, let me point this out really quick, turning down on the 5. And note the sell-off here at what I say as resistance. It's over bought. I use this as support and resistance. This is your clear sell area and then your clear buy in. And we didn't quite make it up to here, but it started to go down. So we are still going down. I've marked these lines as the low and the high point on the monthly, so I don't have to flip back and forth. But I'm going to flip anyway, just to show you. On the daily, we are turning up after the free fall and turning up finally. Not oversold yet. On the weekly, almost touching where we are at the low point on the monthly. But we've gone as low as 27, but we're still going down. Obviously, if we touch this area, people will pile in because that is oversold, technically oversold, meaning it's more of a bargain. Look at this, falling down and bouncing off this area, which got as low as 33 on the monthly. So we are still falling down. So I think on the monthly, there's still room for this stock to continue to go down a little bit and then reverse course. Let me go back to the 5. I like to buy more in this area, 40 and below. But obviously, if I can get it for 30 and below, you're getting a better price. Oops. Now, so we were chugging along here and we hit resistance and then we fell. Now, yes, that coincided with the earnings, but I intuitively, just looking at so many charts, looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of charts, I know that we are at resistance. Something's going to happen because price will not stay here. And we cratered. And now we're going sideways and then we fell down even more. So right here, support, bouncing up to resistance if we're lucky. But we're going down here. So definitely you can anticipate we get to the middle of the line. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to mark this out on the 5 minute. And oops, let's move this down. See how that gets wonky because my magnet's turned on. So turn that off. Change the color. Let's just change this to orange. Although it looks kind of like that red, so nah, don't like it. Oh, let's turn this yellow, see that better. All right, that will be my middle of the trend. So if we continue to go down and if we grind sideways, I will anticipate this area to be the middle of the trend for a while until we break out of it. But all day long, -2 and 2 standard deviations. Okay, carrying on here. The last one I want to go over is workday. Now, I have never tracked this. Oops, look at this. I put a price. Well, let me delete this. It got wonky because I moved to a different time frame. So let's redo this. Okay. So first, I'm going to give you the price targets. And congratulations if you were in this trade. We ended the day at 259.95, up 12.49%. To the north side, at resistance, 267.92, 275.17, and 282.15 to the south side. VWAP is at 258.80. 254.20 to the south side, another level of support, 239.90-ish, and 232.81, and finally 225.56. The 1-year price target is now 288. Let me just mark this. Coordinates 288.38. Just do this really quick so I don't forget. So that represents a 10.39, oh, excuse me, oops, 10.93. What am I, dyslexic here? Okay. So that will take us past 4 standard deviations. So it's not going to come easy. And we ran off of earnings. So there's a huge gap here. Okay. We gapped up. So you can anticipate a gap to the south side. I think that is, let me turn on the magnet. And it touched right there. So there's this huge gap right here. I'll clean this up if it's not accurate once I get rid of my other VWAP lines. It gets a little hard to read, but all right, 231.57 is the downside. So when I see this gap, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I wouldn't be trying to buy in because I play very conservatively. So I will wait to get to this level and back down. These are my buy lines, my clear buy lines at support, my clear sell lines at resistance. And now let me show you this on the daily. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, I've never tracked this because I have no interest in tracking this, but I did look at this at one point back in June because I'm more interested in the losers. Scrolling down on my Vanguard Total Stock Market, by the way, I'm really ticked off at them. They started charging $25 for paper, and they apparently have told us that they were doing this, but they did not disclose this. They disclosed this apparently back in 2023. How are we supposed to remember when they disclosed this information in 2023, when this is August 2024? They didn't tell us 3 months ahead of time that you're going to pay $25. I never even knew how much they were going to charge. They didn't tell us 3 months ago. They didn't tell us 2 months ago. They didn't tell us 1 month ago. They did it on the 15th and then nailed everyone who had paper, who elected for paper confirmations and things like that. No disclosure. They're saying they disclosed. No, that's not disclosure. But they could disclose immediately that you owed them the money. So that is bogus. So I'm encouraging everyone to dump Vanguard and go elsewhere. It's just terrible customer service. You could have your IT people put that on the screen, but no, they did that because they are shady. Shady as it makes me angry. So yeah. All right, the 1 year price tag on this is 288, again 38. I've digressed. Back to the charts. Clear, this is the support area, a bounce up to resistance, and then a sell-off. And I do have a different account, a Fidelity account. They're not the only game in town, okay? So it's pathetic. All right, it just makes me so angry. If you're gonna do it, disclose. Then I could have shut everything down, and if I wanted to, go to paperless statements. All right, but anyway, how wonderful would that have been if you bought in at 207.69 back in June? Now, here we are for earnings. They reported $2.085 billion, and the estimate was $2.072 billion. All right, that is a look at NVDA. What else did I do? Snow and Workday. If there is a ticker that you would like me to go over, please let me know, and have a great trading day.